Y'all, we live in difficult times. There's war, political unrest, the pandemic, poverty, families being torn, communities ripped by gun violence and people dying every day, police, injustice. It's all bringing so much pain. But y'all, we can look inside our minds and we can understand who we are, become better, and do this thing like we've never done it before. But it all starts with our mental health, and I know we can do it. I believe in you because I believe in me, and I believe in us. Hello, and thank you for joining in for another episode of Therapy is Life, where thinking, feeling, and experiencing well-being is what we do. I know, y'all, it's been a minute, but we are here. Look, we're going to have a great discussion today. I have Miss Shalina with me, and we're going to be talking about coping with stress during difficult times. How you doing, Shalina?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing copacetic. That's my parents' way of saying, hey, I'm cool from back in the day. Yeah, it's good to have you here.
Thank you. I am happy to be here. Thank you to have me.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So listen, y'all, we want to talk about stress and coping strategies. Miss Shalina going to help me out with that a little bit. But before we get all off into what she has to say, I want to ask everybody, what is your idea of stress? Because, man, I got to admit, y'all, I am stressed out. I remember the song by Marvin Gaye when he said, this ain't living. No, this ain't living. I know, I ain't trying to sing. It just makes me want to holler the way they do my life, right? So, listen, we got our bills. And Shalina, can you ever remember a time since you've been an adult you didn't have bills?
Oh, my goodness gracious.
BK Watts over there, can you remember a time you didn't have bills? No, sir. Shucks, man, we always got bills to pay. I mean, we got our children, and they got things going on. We got to deal with them all the time. If you're a parent, hey, it can get tough out there.
Yep.
Not to mention trying to be safe in our communities. Seems like everywhere I turn, people talking about guns, and more guns. And all these mass shootings, it just makes you want to holler. Gosh. And look, you know what, Shalina? I was just thinking the other day about SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States of America. And man, what they did just the other day with things like affirmative action, and student loan forgiveness stuff, and everything, it makes you wonder, like, man, what is going on? Because you saying that race is not an issue anymore. So us folks, us minorities, us groups of people who've been challenged in America in many different ways, who've been disproportionately put in jails, disproportionately exposed to polluted environments, disproportionately not receiving adequate health care. We live in food deserts and all this other stuff. Man, we have to sit here and hear somebody say that our condition of being of melanated complexion is no longer a valid argument in America for justice.
Wow.
So, you know what? Hey, I always felt like I didn't want to be being given something or being made to feel like I was a person who had to be given some special treatment. But I always felt like I wanted to be treated fairly.
Yeah.
And when I consider the fact that only in the last 50 years have we've had full rights as citizens, when SCOTUS says, the Supreme Court of the United States says, race cannot be considered, then I think they dismiss the fact that our experience has caused a lot of stress. Like my boy James Baldwin says, to be a Negro and to be somewhat conscious is to be constantly in a state of rage.
Wow.
So we stressed out. Now, I don't really want to make this a black thing, but it is what it is. These are some of the things that stress me out because I got bills, I got kids I'm trying to feed and take care of, and family and working out here trying to do the best that we can.
Yep.
People not being able to get adequate food and shelter and clothing, things they need for their families to be okay. That can cause a lot of stress.
Yes.
I know. I just kind of went on this tangent. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on stress? A little bit.
I mean, I'm listening to you, and it's just like, wow. Because it's unfortunate. I mean, even if you don't mean to be stressed, it creates anxiety. Like when we think about what other people, because even if it's not impacting you, but you think about how it's impacting other people, like we're supposed to have a heart for other people and what they're dealing with. It puts a heaviness on you.
Did you talk about empathy?
Yeah.
We're supposed to be able to connect and we're supposed to be able to relate with other people and understand their experiences.
Yep.
And when we look at people, we don't understand or try to see where they're coming from. It makes it hard to change anything.
Exactly.
So with that being said, I like to think of stress. I like to think of it as being something that is caused by feeling like things are out of your control. Mm-hmm. There is a perception that you don't have an answer. Mm-hmm. And of course, you feel like there is some danger or some situation that's going to occur that's going to be, of course, out of your control.
Yeah.
And this puts stress on our bodies. And when we get stressed, it affects us in ways that we may not always be in the best state. For example, the way we think and the way we respond and react to our environment may not be so good, and it may cause stress on our bodies, our heart, our stomachs.
Yes.
How many people talk about having stomach problems and go to the doctor? They can't figure out what's going on.
Exactly. Well, and with women, we have heard over the years, people in the health profession or people who teach about this talk about even in the abdomen area, a lot of women carry stress there. And sometimes that can play a role in the, with your stomach getting bigger or kind of like that pooch that you might think is from food. It's not always from food. A lot of times it's because of the stress and the weight of what's happening in the body and how it plays a role directly in that area, even digestive systems, what I'm saying, where people aren't properly digesting because of how stress impacts the body.
Exactly. Because what stress does, it invokes the fight or flight response in the body, which means I'm in some danger. Something makes me uncomfortable. Yeah. And so this is a primitive part of the human being, the emotional part of us that helps us protect ourselves from situations that we don't understand. And, I was talking earlier and saying a lot of things and about our finances, about, social injustice, about environmental things, all these things create problems for us. And if we are constantly in a state of dealing with things that, that we worry about, it creates the environment for us to always be stressed out. And man, like Marvin said, it makes me want to holler the way they do my life because stress will kill us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we are in difficult times. We might think that because the pandemic is over, that things have gotten better, but has it? I know I was hoping that when the pandemic would be over, that maybe the shootings and stuff would slow down, but it seems like it's just continued to get worse and more of it every day. Oh my gosh, I think right here in Cleveland about a week ago we had a shooting. I think where a few people may have died. And that is terrible. You just hearing about it more and more and more because people are so stressed out. As a therapist, I'm hearing every day about people carrying their guns and feeling unsafe because people are stressed out. So I oftentimes get asked the question, how do you manage stress? Or what should we do to manage stress? Well, I ain't gonna tell you no lie. It's difficult. It's difficult because human beings are not designed to constantly be under the weight of dangers. Our ancestors may have had things that they were worried about, but once those things were addressed, they were able to relax. Where we, it's like 24/7. We got something to be worried or concerned about. Because for one, we are forced to think more long term. They may have focused more on the immediate need and problem, and once they addressed that, they were okay. Where we, it's not a day that we ain't got to be worried about something.
Exactly. Then even when it's not your worry, again, like, you know, you look at how it's other people's worry with social media, with the news. You know, you watch the news, you could go into watching the news feeling fine about it, and you feel stressed out.
Right. Well, right, exactly. So, you know, that is something to understand. Like the news, oh my gosh. So you're getting information constantly telling you what's wrong, what's about to happen. And you know, we got so many things. I didn't even mention, you know, we had the smoke and all the pollution just a couple weeks ago. What's that all about?
Yeah,
what's creating that?
Exactly. Just like all those things, it's funny because sometimes when I'll jump onto social media and I'll see this thing talking about food and what I should eat, what I shouldn't eat. Then I'll go to the next thing and it's talking about stuff that's going on in the world. Then it goes to the next thing that's talking about the government. By the time I get off, sometimes I'm just like, what am I supposed to do with all this? Like, what options do I have? You know, because what do you do with all of that? Where it's all these things you shouldn't do, but you're trying to live day to day.
Exactly, you're trying to live day to day. And you know what? And that's what I mean. Our mind is constantly going, and we can't seem to get a place where we can get some peace now. So we constantly living in danger, looking over our shoulders. And if you think about that, and then you live in a community where, you know, guns are always going off, you got to constantly be looking around, or you lack food, or you lack shelter, or all those other things. Or you on the other end, maybe we're comfortable financially, but now I got to worry about keeping all of that.
Exactly. Or what you don't have, because even if you are, you know, comfortable, I mean, a lot of times you look at people like that, but you hear about how they are secretly miserable, or they're dealing with this, or maybe they can't find love, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you hear all that stuff.
Different things.
Yeah, I'm comfortable, but all these things, I got to worry about keeping it. I got to worry about I still got to worry about my family. I still got to worry about my health, because we all have to worry about health. And at all times, our health is always important, because our health is our life. And if we're not healthy, then we're not going to be able to do much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then our family's health. So all those things constantly are there. And if we're stressed, then it's detrimental to our health.
Absolutely.
So I like to ask, you know, this question to everybody that comes in my office. I like to ask, what do you do to cope with stress? What are some of the things you do?
Some of the things I do, one of the things that immediately comes to mind is pray.
Okay.
You know, I am definitely a prayer warrior. I believe in praying. You know, the Bible talks about casting our worries and concerns on the Lord. And so typically that's my first response is, I mean, because I talk to God like he right here, like we friends, like, Lord, okay, do you see this going on right here?
I understand.
And so that, from that, I'm learning how to even be more in tune with what I'm feeling, identifying like what am I feeling and why? Because, you know, sometimes you could get in a place with me personally, I would kind of almost want to fight against or push away the feeling, but I've learned that when I look at it and identify what it is and allow myself to feel that, then maybe I could better find a solution. You know, if I just admit to myself, yeah, maybe I am afraid right now. You know, maybe this really did, as opposed to us being like, oh, I don't care, that didn't bother me. Maybe it really did bother me.
Right.
You know, and maybe the stress is coming from me trying to act like it didn't bother me, because it did. So let me deal with the fact that this bothered me and then go from there.
Right.
But then other things, you know, I do try to tap into things that I enjoy, you know, doing that helps relieve stress. Like, I mean, you know, like if you like reading, or if it's certain places that you like to go to, maybe that helps promote thinking. You know, if you just be in those environments, sometimes when I'm stressed out, I put on music, you know, because that kind of takes your mind from that part, especially if it's like one of your favorite songs.
Right.
You know, and so so I tap into things like that.
Roger, those are some good things. Those are some really good things. And I want to start with the idea, because when I think of prayer, I also think of gratitude.
Yeah.
Being thankful for the things that you have that are good in your life. In order to do that, sometimes what we have to do is be very intentional in realizing when we get up and we have some portion of our health and strength, if our family is good, if we have the things we need, be able to celebrate that. Don't take that for granted. I think a great portion of dealing with stress is understanding that our blessings actually happen in small places and they grow in big ways. So if I can appreciate the small things I have, if I can have gratitude about those simple things, it's going to magnify itself. And I can look at things around me differently because I can see how I am good. Sometimes we got to tell ourselves we're good.
Oh, absolutely.
We have to tell ourselves we're good, because when we don't do that, we'll get stuck in this place where everything around us is wrong. Having gratitude sometimes requires us to disconnect. I can't always be in spaces where I'm being inundated with information. So I'm turning off the TV. I'm not on the phone. I'm not on social media. I'm being very selective. I like to encourage people to do that. Disconnect. Have some gratitude. When we affirm things, we should always think about things that we are grateful for.
Exactly.
I once read a study that was talking about the importance of gratitude, and it was talking about people who had major heart surgeries, and they were studying their level of gratitude. And what they found in this study was that individuals who demonstrated a greater sense of gratitude after having these surgeries tended to recover better than those who didn't.
Wow, now that's deep.
So gratitude is a simple thing, but it is powerful in helping us move forward. So I like to challenge people every day to get up and find something good about yourself, your family, your life, and celebrate it. Because there's always more to get.
Exactly.
There's always what you don't have. But celebrate what you have. See it as being good. Be able to say that I'm worthy and I'm deserving. Gotta have some gratitude.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we gotta have it. Another thing I think is really important is really checking in on our sleep.
Yes. Yep.
These are like simple things. When people come in my office and we're doing therapeutic interventions and we're assessing stuff, I want to know how's your sleep? Because sleep is important, because without sleep, it's harder for us to regulate ourselves and respond to stresses in positive ways. Also, it affects our immune system, so we're more likely to get sick.
Absolutely. Yeah, that sleep is essential.
Oh
my goodness.
So we need to get sleep. I think another critical piece is our diet.
Oh, now that's it.
Our diet, man.
Yes.
What are you putting in your body?
Yeah. And how's it causing you to think?
Yeah, how's it causing you to think? Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah. When you eat cleaner, you're sharper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so are you getting the green vegetables in, the fruits and veggies? Are you eating a lot of saturated fats and processed foods and everything? Sometimes I feel so bad when I go into communities and realize there's no really good grocery stores there.
Wow.
And people eating a whole lot of processed and junk foods. That is so unfortunate. But we have to change that. We have to be aware that our food is the source of our life.
Yes, it is.
The things we take into ourselves is what's going to come out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Even they have talked about, you know, what you're talking about, the food and stuff. Even like, say, if somebody fast, you know, depending on how they fast, but when they fast, it's how the body responds to that fasting. You know, where it starts getting rid of a lot of the bad stuff.
Stay on. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Fasting. Oh, and drinking plenty of water.
Yes. Yes.
Listen, you know, I love this saying, one should never underestimate the magnificence which is found in simplicity. Because water is clear and simple as it is. It is our life force. About 70% of our body is water? And I found this fascinating that when we don't drink enough water, it slows our brain's ability to process information. And our hormonal balance gets off. So we're more likely to have anxiety. We're more likely to have depression. We're more likely to have trauma responses to things that have occurred in our lives because we can't maintain the correct hormonal balance to be in a more positive mood.
Exactly.
So water is essential. So eating is essential. Sleeping is essential. Having gratitude is essential. And I think another one, which is really important, all these things are really important, is exercise.
Yeah, I knew you was going to say that.
Exercise. Why you know I was going to say that?
Because I just knew you was going to say it.
Yeah. We have such a hard time getting exercise.
Yeah. So how would you say for maybe the person who can't go to the gym or something like that, what ways of exercise do you think that they can incorporate?
So, good question. First, let me say this. Human beings are not designed to be sedentary. If you're sitting for more than 45 minutes, you're probably doing harm to your health. In fact, studies have shown that sitting for long periods of time is as bad as being a cigarette smoker.
Wow. I did not know that. Wow.
So think about it. For hundreds of thousands of years, we've been movers.
Yeah.
And because of technology, now we do a lot of sitting. Our bodies are not designed to do that. So what we have to do, we have to, I think, keep it simple. Start moving. Number one, walk some.
Exactly.
Just walk.
Exactly.
Just walk. You don't have to run. You don't have to have no elaborate exercise activity. Just find time to walk.
Exactly.
It's that simple. Now, you might build up and you might get into, 20 or 30 minutes of cardiovascular fitness a day, which that's what they recommend to reduce risk of cardiovascular disease. However, walking about an hour a day, I think does the same thing for you. Walking. You know, also, exercising helps us sleep better.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so I have to be honest with you. You know, I had to come and do this today, and I always try to exercise in the morning before I go to work. Why? Because it helps me feel better, and it helps balance out because I can get anxiety.
Yeah.
And I realize that exercising helps me to relax and just do what I have to do. As somebody would say, feels good. Yeah. So we have to implement some type of exercise into our lives. And I think putting the pressure on us about image, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Just move. Because even if you don't lose a lot of weight or you don't see a lot of changes in your body, it's going to help you feel better.
Yeah.
And what is going to help you respond to stressors in your environment better.
Yep. Absolutely.
We have to be able to do these kind of things, because if we don't, we're gonna find ourselves having all kind of challenges and issues, because these things are fundamental to our well-being and our health.
Yep.
You got any thoughts on that?
No, I think it's all good.
Good?
But what came to my mind, honestly, was everything that you listed, like the simplicity of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, where those are not expensive ways to take care of your health. It's very cost effective. So it's very much almost like, okay, just put your mind to it and just do it. you know?
Right, exactly, exactly. And these things we consider to be like self-care things.
Yeah.
Things that you have to do for yourself in order to be okay, to feel okay. We have to be able to do these things. You know, as one of my colleagues, she oftentimes says, there's a difference between things we do to care for ourselves and maintenance ourselves. Like, you know, I always say it's good self-care to go to the doctor, right?
Yeah.
It might be nice. It might be motivating, inspiring to go get your hair done, right? Or go get your nails done. It might be nice to go and buy some new clothes.
Yep.
And all those things. Those things might make you feel good. And, you know, and they might motivate you and inspire you in some ways. But those things in terms of your health won't really change things much.
Yeah.
But when you start eating properly, when you start exercising properly, when you start when you start taking care of your body, going to the doctor, those kind of things, making sure that you're okay, those things can do so much for the state of mind.
Yeah, it makes you feel responsible, you know? Like, I don't know if you feel that way, but like, you know, like when you take those steps to, you know, even things like going to the doctor, it makes you feel like you're responsible for you. This is a sense of responsibility of doing your work.
Right, exactly, exactly. Exactly, doing those things. And some other things, you know, I think I encourage people to do is spend some time outdoors, around the trees, around the woods, around the water. Think about it, y'all.
Yes.
But for eons, we have been people who lived amongst the trees, amongst the animals. And now we live in these suburban or urban places with all this buildup of buildings, all these gases, all this pollution, all this stuff. I mean, man, we can't even look up at night and see the stars for all the light pollution.
Oh my goodness.
Think about what we're being deprived of in many ways. And so we have to try to get outside and get to the woods and get to the areas that are peaceful and quiet. It's nothing like walking in the wilderness, right? Or in amongst the trees and just stopping and hearing the breeze. Like going through the leaves, the feel the coolness and the shade. It's nothing like that.
Yeah.
And you know, studies have found that being in forested areas, the soil, the type of bacteria there actually helps lower our blood pressure.
Wow.
And it helps our mind to go to the default mode. So going, sitting by some waterfall somewhere and just and allowing yourself to embrace that can really help you. But with all these things, there has to be some type of consistent practice in order to make it work. You can't just do it every now and then. Now you have to try it, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to change your brain. You're trying to change the way you are programmed to deal with stress. So it takes practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can agree with that. It was some months back where we had gone walking through a very forested area. I think I've only done that maybe like once before, right? But this time, I mean, it was almost like to the point, like, stay on the path, don't venture off, because you might look up and be lost somewhere. But it was so fun. One, it was so peaceful, you know, to the point where we just sat down, because they had benches out there. We just sat down and just embraced the moment. Like this, you can really just get lost in this moment of just being surrounded by nothing but these big, beautiful trees.
Gotcha. Exactly. Thank you for listening. And this discussion will be continued in part 2. Talk to you soon.